This is a really important topic that I think we definitely need to talk about. And one thing that I really want to focus on, especially today, is on purpose or passion. So, the reason why I want to talk about this is because a lot of times in our lives, we are very focused on growing forward and we are focused on our careers or whatever it is. So, the one thing that I definitely noticed, and especially by myself and my story, is that there was a time in my life where I was very, I wouldn't say confused, but I was uncertain about where I wanted to go and what I wanted to achieve. It's very important for us to talk about this because there is a very fine line between knowing the difference between the purpose or your passion. So, the reason why I want to look at this and start with this conversation is that in a sense, I wouldn't say wasted a lot of time, but can be very dangerous if you don't know your purpose. So we have to focus on purpose, and then ultimately we can get to a passion. So my story started off when I was very young and very energetic, and I was, very enthusiastic, and I really wanted to go forward and look at things in life to see, where I can do very well. And so there's a lot of things online, and when you talk to friends or family, and they are all very much, I wouldn't say all of them, but a lot of times we are very focused on passion. So, what I want to talk about is that it's not wrong to have a passion. A passion is very important to have in life, and we definitely need to not ignore it. You got to have a passion in life. You got to be passionate about something that you want to achieve. But the consequences, I would say, that if we don't discover our purpose, then can become very, very dangerous. And so, to give you an example, I started with a few small businesses when I was a little bit younger, and they were, I would rather say, more passionate businesses. They weren't really concrete, grounded, good businesses. So it was sort of I would say, in a sense, a little bit of a wishful thinking idea. And it becomes such a fine line when you really approach something and you don't have logical thinking in your head. And that's the danger of having a passion. So passion can sometimes confuse you with your purpose as well. A lot of people chase their passion, and they, let's say, for example, they achieve something, but then they fail to find the purpose. And then they ask themselves the questions, who am I? What is my purpose in life? Why am I here? And so you get a lot of people that actually ask those questions. I did myself. I asked those questions myself when I was younger. What is my passion? What is my purpose? And so forth. So getting back to my story, when I started off with small little businesses, I quickly realized that you got to eventually have an order. There is an exact order of going forward. And it is almost like I would rather say the thing is that our parents or our friends, have told us, follow your passion, follow your dream. And it's dangerous. It's very dangerous when you do that, when you don't know who you are, what you really want to do in life, and who you are yourself as an individual. So I started off with a lot of things going forward, small businesses. I tried this. I tried buying, selling products. I was very passionate about a business, yes. And that eventually led me to my purpose. But then I quickly realized that I needed to slow down. I needed to take a break. And I had to take a step back and ask myself, what am I really good at? You got to be good at something, whatever it is. You got to find out what you're really good at. And then the second question you need to ask yourself is, this thing that I'm good at, can it be potentially a good, sustainable income for me in the future time, for myself, for my family, and the generation after me? So those questions you definitely have to ask yourself when it comes to the fine line between the purpose and passion. So The question is about you. What are you going to do, and how are you going to approach, especially when you're young? You're going to ask yourself, how am I going to ultimately get to my purpose? And the reason why it is better for you to focus on your purpose and then ultimately get your passion. So if I had to look back and I could have done, if I had to do it over, I would definitely have focused more on purpose, meaning what am I good at? And the thing that I'm good at with, how can I make this a full-time living? What can I do with what I'm good at and ultimately be very successful in the future? So there's a lot of topics that we can talk about this, but then it becomes a very, very extremely fine line. The reason is that you have to ask yourself, who am I and what do I really, really like? What do I like to do? What is the thing that I really love to do? Now, the definition of love is not to confuse it with passion, but you have to be true to yourself and really ask yourself, what is the longing there in my heart? So to give it an example, one thing for me is that time was very precious to me. I wanted to have time in my life where I can make my own decisions. If I want to go do something, whatever it is, that I have my own time, I can make my own decisions on what I wanted to do. So time was one thing that was very, very important to me. So that's your question. That's what you have to discover. And that's one of the reasons why I want to focus on that before we go to passion, is that I want to go back to the Bible and see exactly what the Bible says about the importance of first discovering your purpose. And then from there on, you can enjoy your passions. So in a sense, I would say the world, the enemy is very clever. The enemy likes to turn things around. He likes to, I would say, in a sense, change the order of which God has purposed it for you. So I'm going to read you a verse. This is in Genesis 1 Genesis, and it starts there from, let's go from verse 26. Okay, so it says, then God said, let us, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, make man in our image. Okay, so image is not a physical image, it's a character, a personality, and moral likeness. And let them have complete authority over the fish of the sea, the birds of the air, the cattle, and over the entire earth, and over everything that creeps and crawls under the earth. So God gives man a certain authority. So verse 27, it says, so God created man in his own image. All right, so we know that image is character. In the character and likeness of God, he created them. So there we can clearly see that we are not created in the physical image of God. We all have a spiritual personality, which is connected with God, what God created. So I would say the definition of spiritual personality is having discernment, is having the spiritual gifts that God has given us so that we can go out and help other people. It goes on, it says, in the image and likeness of God, he created them, male and female, and he created them. Verse 28 says, and God blessed them, granting them certain authority. So there we have it again. Not complete authority, we only have certain authority. And said to them, so here's the one thing. The first order that God gave mankind, human, he said, be fruitful. So if you look up the word fruitful in the Hebrew and Greek translation, it means to be productive, to produce something. Go and make something. So that's very interesting if you look at that, because here we can actually see that God says, hey, don't follow your passion. When they were created, they didn't follow their passion. God immediately said to them, figure out your purpose. So go out there in the world, go and make something of yourself, and find your purpose when you go out there. Getting back to that, you're going to do a lot of things that are going to work, maybe not work, but ultimately God orders us to say, go out there and produce something. That's number one. So, and then it says multiply, meaning make more of it, overwhelm it, meaning that if you produce something, let's say you've made a product or whatever it is, then God says, hey, make this, make more of it, overwhelm it, multiply it. And then it goes on, it says, and fill the earth and subjugate it. Subjugate means to actually distribute. So whatever you've made, whatever product you've made, or whatever service you are bringing into the economy or your community, make more of it, distribute it, and get connected with people so that you can help them and they can help you. It goes on, it says, and putting it under your power and rule over it and dominate. So whatever that is that God has put something in your life. So let's say, for example, you have discovered your purpose and now you're really good at it. You've made something, whatever it is. And now it's important for you to know that, all right, this is what I've made, what the gift that God has given me. I can now make this, I can make more of it, and I need to distribute. In a sense, I need to market my product, meaning myself. We need to, in a sense, market ourselves out there. All right, then it goes on, it says, and God said, behold, I've given you every plant yielding seed that is on it, and the surface and the entire of the earth, and all the animals, and it goes on. So the one thing that I want to focus on is that here we can completely and actually accurately see that God has, in the beginning, in Genesis, He has actually told us how to live out or how to get the order correct. And here we can actually see what God says about discovering yourself and getting the order right. So, conclusion says that whatever it is that you find yourself busy with, be very sure that you don't mix these two ideas. Don't start with your passion first and then ultimately discover your purpose. It is very, very important to discover your purpose first, and then ultimately you'll enjoy your passions. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.